What's up, Starcraft fans? This video is brought to you by Lucerna Sempiternus, who is supporting me in the Pulse Cannon tier. This month, he requested a Nexus Coop video. So again, if you want to play Nexus Coop, go to Custom, click Arcade, and then key in Nexus Coop in the search bar. Remember, Arcade, then double click the one with the orange icon, Nexus Coop. Then once you're in the lobby, just click Start Game. You can play on your own or you can play with a teammate or an ally. I am playing alone this time. Again, you get this loading screen. You can read all about Nexus Coop on the screen, including all the guys who made this possible. This month, Nexus Coop challenge will be to play as either Zero or as DuGalle. The way it was structured is I could choose either Gerald, as Lucerna Sempiternus said it, or Zero. I've chosen to go as Gerald DuGalle. It's to use only Marines, Medics, SCVs, Orbital Command, and Static Defense against Rifts to Korhal. So map will be Rifts to Korhal. Here it is. And the masteries I have chosen are, well, this one is irrelevant because I'm not allowed to use the top bars other than for the Orbital Command. I can only use Orbital Command abilities, not top bars, according to his challenge. I've opted to go for Elite Agent's Charge cooldown. This is the cooldown of my infantry, so obviously I will need to go for it because I'm only allowed to use infantry static defense. And Core Combat Unit Enhance, because I'm not allowed to use vultures. So, my Marines, Medics, Orbital Command, and Static Defense are all I have, but I have a trump card because one of Gerard DuGalle, or Gerald DuGalle Static Defense, is the hive mind emulator, the mind control guy, the mind control thing. So I will use that a bit more heavily in this mission. Full disclaimer, I am not good at all at Nexus Coop. I played this many times and I had to relearn how to play Gerard DuGalle, and I don't even know if the way I played this is the proper way to do it without the top bars. I remember the top bars being incredibly powerful for DuGalle, but I had to do it without. So just infantry, no mech units, no top bars, just infantry and static defense. So my strategy is actually get Marines out. So I'm just producing SCVs and then starting the depot, of course, so I don't get supply blocked. One of the abilities of the Orbital is to drop some sort of supply enhancement to this depot to allow me to drop more guys, but I'm not sure if that actually happened here. I didn't quite count. I was too busy trying to figure out my next move that I wasn't even able to count. I wasn't able to actually verify whether the supposed talents work or if I even read them correctly. Because this is Nexus Coop. I have no idea whether I'm doing anything correctly here like half the time. The only thing I know is what works for me. I guess this must be how the 1v1 guys feel when they're playing co-op. They just do what feels like it works for them. In my case, I only know co-op, so I only know what works for me in Nexus Coop. So feel free to comment down below how you would improve this strategy. Remember, you're not allowed to use any units other than Marines and Medics and your static defense. So building another supply depot so I don't get supply blocked. Again, still continuous SCV production. Of course, you can say that a bit of macro leaves more to be desired because that's what I am. I'm not a GM player or even a Diamond League player for that matter. The last time I played 1v1, I was in Gold League, so I've only been playing co-op and campaign, and now Nexus Coop. So that's really something that doesn't need to be said. My macro could be better. We all know that. Either way, I have started another command center that will actually be useful later on because the challenge stipulated that I can use the top bar abilities, the abilities of the Orbital Command. you can see I used the Olympus to defend the first wave. That is allowed, I think. Static defense. This does kind of static defense, doesn't it? It's structure, it's immovable, and it's defense. So I think it does count as static defense. I hope it does count as static defense. Anyway, orbital, or rather command center, is about to finish. I will also transform that into an orbital. I will use the ability. I will make heavy use of the ability of the orbital command to drop those psi disruptors. I believe they're called psi disruptors. They also drop mules automatically that will not take away from their energy pool, so that's really good for me. Call down these medics. I didn't call them down earlier, even though they were off cooldown because I didn't have the money. I was still macroing up. You can see, as soon as the orbital completes, it just drops the mule automatically. That is really cool. I'll wait for another charge. Or will I? Will I even wait for another charge? I don't know. 2 SCVs on the way. I'm still powering up. And now I have started another command center. The first reason is because obviously I need more charges of the psi disruptor. But the second reason is this is a far gas. I want it to be a bit closer. You know how it is. So just call these. I actually wasn't paying attention. I have to run back and I lose that marine. I lose 2 marines actually. Because I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at my base and producing stuff. This fourth command center. By the time that Void Shard tried to shoot at me, so I wasn't actually looking. It happens. It just happens. More refineries going down. I once again leverage the static defense of the Olympus. Self-defend. And draw some aggro even using these medics which have 100 health actually. Yeah, they're only ever so slightly tankier than my marines. But still, tanking is tanking. Anyway, I move in. I should have enough to clean the rest of these guys now without taking losses. And now I've actually already dropped this thing. I still don't know what these do. I know they're research when I get units, but the way these are described is apparently they will increase the forces dropped when I upgrade my depots, but maybe those only apply to mech units. I don't really know. I really don't know, guys. I've mentioned this before and I'll say it again. I really don't play Nexus Coop. I just leverage the knowledge of the maps that I have. I just know the maps of Nexus or of Starcraft 2 co-op. And I'm trying to feel my way around these commanders, which all still feel very new to me. I've had maybe 5 games of Gerard DuGalle at most, so I'm not an expert by any means. You can see I dropped this side disruptor. It is a side disruptor. That will draw out their defenders, but you can see there's still too much at this point. I do call down more medics so I can have more healing, but you can see
Enemy forces are inbound.
I'm still not strong enough to take on all of those defenders. So I'm just powering up a little bit more. Just waiting for a charge cooldown of this infantry before I'm able to take on this base. I'll probably drop another one of those side disruptors as more and more of these orbitals are going down. I think it's not an energy issue for these side disruptors. It's more of a cooldown issue. They are cooldown based as well as energy based. So I need to have more orbitals if I want to have more side disruptors. That's just how this works. So I call those guys in. Or rather, lure those guys in by attacking their static defense. I scan the lurker, shoot it down. Those infestors. Zerg is actually extremely painful to deal with if I'm only allowed to use marines. Because they have fungal. They have disabling cloud. Not to say that Terran or Protoss aren't difficult. Terran has siege tanks and irradiate. And Protoss has psionic storm. I'm just saying Zerg is ever so painful to play against, because the fungal not only damages you but also slows you down considerably and has a huge splash radius, so you can see your forces dying in real time but you actually can't do anything about it. Now that is painful. I can't do anything. I see it happening right before my eyes, and I can't do anything about it. And that's just how Zerg operates. That's just how Fungal operates. Again, it's not... It doesn't hit as hard as siege tanks. It doesn't hit as hard as Storm. But it's painful because you can't do anything about it. You just see it happening. It's annoying.
Now that's what I like to see.
Anyway, I'm calling more SCVs now to this spot, so I can put my static defense. Now, the static defense of DuGalle consists of missile turrets and hive mind emulators. The hive mind emulators essentially act as mind control towers. I will be able to
No rest for the
virtual
righteous.
mind emulator. Yeah,
Looks like
originally in the campaign it's called hive mind emulator because it was used against the Zerg only. It wasn't usable against Protoss, but with the virtual mind emulator, it is a modified version of this that will also allow me to mind control Terran and Protoss units. Not that it matters. It's gonna be Zerg either way. Again, more call down Marines using scans liberally now that I have 8 orbital commands.
I'd appreciate it if you could exterminate.
They start drawing some guys from here. The nice thing about Zerg, I guess, is that they're further forward, so I don't have to charge in so deep into siege tank fire. Just to bait out a few at a time. And this is really one of the keys to having an easier time in co-op. You don't charge in and try to take everything in all at once. You try to chip off a few units, a few enemies at a time. Just weaken them with your entire army until there is such a point where you actually look at that. There's 2 clouds disable the entire ramp. 3 clouds, just 3 disabling clouds. This is why Zerg, I feel like, is more painful for charging into, with Bio in particular, than Terran or Protoss. Of course, you know how I feel about Terran. Terran, I think, is still the worst overall. But when you're running Bio, you just have no choice. If you're running only Bio, Infestors and Vipers are extremely painful to deal with because they cover so much area. But of course, my only recourse is to just lure them out with a side disruptor. Yeah, side disruptor. Slow them down. Force them to come in slowly. Of course, I have to run back here. Now I have a veritable line of hive mind emulators that I will use to mind control the enemies. You can see more Viper clouds. Vipers are extremely annoying. They are Abathur Vipers, by the way. I will be able to mind control a Viper later on and show you that they are in fact Abathur Vipers. So they're co-op Vipers, not 1v1 Vipers. That makes them extremely annoying to deal with. Let's say I mind control that lurker. It doesn't last long, but the important thing is that it decreases. Look at this! Just one fungal. Look at that. How much damage a single fungal does to my infantry. This is extremely painful to deal with, because it basically have 0 reaction time against those fungals. The good news is I'm able to take control of their lurkers, and now, unlike the mind control of Vega and of Tychus and of Carax, these are more like Vorzun's mind control, where you can just take control of it permanently. The downside is they're more like Nova's mind control, where yes, it is permanent, but it also occupies the hive mind emulator full time, meaning this thing cannot mind control any more units until these lurkers are released from service, aka killed. Again, more Viper clouds coming down, more fungals. Very painful. I wish I had more options to deal with them, but I actually don't have any options to deal with them. All I can use are Marines, medics, and static defense. I wish I could call down these guys to snipe the Vipers and the Infestors. I wish I could use siege tanks or battlecruisers. I wish I could just use any other of these amazing these ghosts, these hellbutts, factory units, starport units. I wish I could, but I can't. That's literally the constraint of the challenge. More fungal. I can't dodge that. It happens too fast. To be able to dodge a fungal, you basically need to be on the move already, because the fungal orb moves faster than the bio ball. You can't. Well, it moves about the same speed as the bio ball with stim. So the only way to dodge it is if you're already in motion, because the delay time between the fungal shooting and the fungal hitting is right about the same as the time it takes to move out of the targeted zone. So you actually need to be actively dodging already if you actually want to dodge it before it even gets casted. So you can see this attack wave gives me even more units. I have Ultralisk this time and Ravagers. And now I have 10 minutes to destroy the last base. Again, just calling down more infantry and pulling 3,000 minerals, 3,000 gas. I should be more actively producing these hive mind emulators, but I'm not a pro player. I'm not a GM. I'm not even a Diamond League player. I'm not even a Platinum League player, so I really don't have the attention span to keep producing that while fighting at the same time. Of course, I can just attack move these guys and not really pay attention, but they don't fight well. They're bio. They need heavy attention. I can't build stuff while microing my infantry. And you can see I'm also trying to pull back these ultras, making sure they don't just suicide all of them in. And again, these bio units just get fungled so heavily. The good news is that my medics heal really fast as well. So even though these guys are on the brink of death, this guy is 10 health away from dying, but he heals so fast because of the medics. That is basically able to re-engage. Good as new. I'm trying to secure myself a beachhead here. This ramp is extremely narrow with Vipers on either flank. I need to find a way to get inside. You see Dude Lords, Hybrid, Ultralisks. It's very painful. You see the Viper coming in for another disabling cloud on my entire army. I can't do anything about it. All I can do is just put down these hive mind emulators to try and mind control what I can to turn their defense into my offense. And that's all I can do. You can see even the Void Shard joining in. I wish I could do anything about it. Okay, this wave will be cleaned up unceremoniously by infantry and lurkers, and of course my static defense. You can see my SCVs here getting killed, and I didn't even notice because I was too busy trying to micro against these futilely, might I add, against these infestors. I actually can't do anything about them. They just hit too fast. There's no micro ability. There's no micro potential against infestors unless you're already moving by the time the fungals have been summoned. Or I don't know. Maybe if I'm high, maybe I don't know. Maybe if I'm a higher league in 1v1, maybe I could dodge them. I don't know. Are you guys able to dodge fungals in 1v1 or even co-op? Let me know. These Vipers extremely painful to deal with. They just block the whole ramp with 2 clouds. The good news is I am able to get a Viper of my own, and I will use that extensively to just also use my own disabling clouds on these guys. You see, they just have more Vipers. Vipers of defense. And I can't do anything about it because their range is too long. Their range is too great. I can't actually draw them in close enough to get mind controlled. I pulled that in, but it gets shot down by my bio as soon as it gets pulled in. So, for those of you who are about to suggest that, I did try it. I did pull in the Viper, but the bio shoots too fast. The good news is I do have sieges of my own. I do have these Dude Lords, but one Dude Lord will not be able to break an entire defense on its own. I need more firepower. And you can see my Olympus is on cooldown. I believe I'm able to take control of a second Viper, or no, not at the moment. I am starting to build more static defense on top of the ramp, just securing my beachhead even more. Of course, I tried to protect SCV, but the locusts decided to right click on it. There's actually nothing I can do about that. If they right click on SCV, it's gonna die. More hive mind emulators. So you see I'm able to mind control that Dude Lord. I saw that Viper mind control the Dude Lord, so I thought maybe that's close enough to pull back to my side. And there it is. I have a second Viper now, which will render me more effective. You can see I use this disabling cloud. It is my disabling cloud. And I lured that brutal skin for basically 0 losses. So you can see how massive Vipers are. Just 2 Vipers on my side. I'm able to immediately turn the tide of the fight into my advantage. Just 2 Vipers. That's how powerful Vipers are. If you're an Abathur player, use Vipers. I just pull those. I just pulled that Swarm Host and that Lurker in. Immediately destroyed. Look at how fast. Look at how fast the tide turns as soon as I get my Vipers. I didn't even need them for long. They died right away to the same spore. Or yeah, each spore had a kill. But did you see how fast the tide turned? As soon as I'm able to destroy, as soon as I'm able to take control of the Viper. It's so insane. Vipers is so insane co-op. Oh, by the way, yeah, there was an attack wave that went into attack my base, but I just stole it for long enough that I'm able to beat the game, beat the challenge before things got out of hand. But anyway, I'm not sure if I could have done this if I only did use Marines and Medics. Without the mind control, I don't think I could have won this, personally. Because I did try using the side disruptors to pull them in. But the Vipers were too strong. They were getting pulled in, but they were still too strong. They just disabled the entire playing field for me. I cannot fight them. So I believe my only recourse was to do this. To lure Ultralisks and mind control them. Mind control the Dude Lords, mind control the Vipers. As soon as I got 2 Vipers, it was over for Amon. You saw how it happened. I just took out the entire base with 2 Vipers. I didn't even need them to survive. Just needed to pull down a few of those disabling clouds so I could send my Marines in and just immediately turn the tide. Insane. Vipers are insane. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for watching. If you have an idea of what else I can do, please leave any comment. I'll see you guys next time. Oh, by the way, are they also that insane in 1v1? Let me know. Are the Vipers that insane in 1v1? I'll see you guys next time.